Good afternoon, it's 3 o'clock. This is Afternoon Live. Our top story, left for dead.
My honest belief was I wasn't going to get to the hospital. I didn't anticipate living very much longer.
The officer, blinded by Raoul modes, describes the moment the gunman opened fire. Also coming up on Afternoon Live, a Taliban leader confirms to Sky News the rogue Afghan soldier who killed 3 British troops is under their protection. Deep trouble. BP's experts postpone tests on their new spill buster after another technical hitch. One of sport's most famous trophies, the Cheltenham Gold Cup, is stolen. And have they cracked it? Scientists believe they've unscrambled the mystery. So what did come first, the chicken or the egg?
Live from the Sky News Centre, this is Afternoon Live with Anna Jones.
Hello and welcome to Afternoon Live. Our top story here today, left for dead. PC David Rathband has described the moment he was blasted at point-blank range by the gunman Raoul Modes. The father of 2 is now trying to rebuild his life after learning he's been blinded by that attack. Speaking to the Sun newspaper, PC Rathband spoke about the moment he locked eyes with Moat seconds before he was shot through the window of his patrol car.
I looked to my left through the front passenger side of my police car, and I saw Moat running from the short distance of pathway from a road which leaded onto the roundabout from the A1, and at that point I knew it was him. And the second thing I saw was him holding a gun in a sort of, I would consider, a ready position, just sat underneath his chin with held to fire. And as he stopped running towards the car, looked at me, I looked at him, he lifted the gun, pushed it forward, and then discharged the weapon through my window. And the rest, obviously, after that, I felt all the pain, and the noise is the first thing I felt. But it was a noise that I've never heard before, and it was so painful. And my assumption at the time was that it was a noise that was ripping my face apart. But now I realise that it was the shotgun cartridge going through my eye socket between my 2 eyes. And that threw me away from him and into the footwell of the car. But then by the time I was on the floor with my seatbelt on, because I couldn't move, I didn't want to bleed to death in the car, and I could hear lots of blood squirting from my face, and I could feel it splashing over me. I knew I was bleeding badly, and I wanted to open the door so somebody passing that location would know that I was out of the car, or at least hanging out of the car, or when I died, basically. I knew I was gonna die. And then I wanted to pass some information to the control room, but when I moved, I was going to press an emergency button in my car, which opens the channel, so that my control room can have a live mic to my car. But as I moved up with my hand, I couldn't see the arrow on the screen because of the damage to my face. And I realised he was still there. I didn't hear him, but I had the same sense that I had when he first shot me. And as I looked round, I heard the shot of the same weapon, and I managed to move away from him and brought my hand to my face again, and I felt him shoot me in my shoulder, which again, due to the force of that, pushed me down onto my seat. But I decided to leave my hand out so I got access to the push-to-talk mic on this gear stick without him knowing, because I needed to tell somebody where he was, where I was, and I needed help. But luckily, after a short time, I don't know how long, I managed to move my thumb a little bit, and there was a gap on the radio which I had to wait for to key the mic. And eventually the mic keyed, and I'd got a live access to the control room, and I just shouted, "I've been shot. I need urgent assistance."
Well, PC Rathband also spoke of how his thoughts turned to his wife, Kath, when he thought he was going to die.
I didn't think I'd get to hospital. I heard the fire. I heard the sirens coming, which would have either been ambulance or fire, police, and that gave me quite a great deal of relief. But my honest belief was I wasn't going to get to the hospital. I didn't anticipate living very much longer. So what I did is one of my colleagues, one of the police sergeants for the dog section was administrating first aid, shoving things in my face to try and stop the blood. And there was another paramedic who'd come to help. And I'm not sure which paramedic I spoke to, but I asked him on a number of occasions to tell my wife that I loved her, and tell my two children that I loved them. And once I'd said that, I was just aware that there was lots going on and people trying to keep me talking, which I did all the way until I got to hospital. I wanted to pass on as much information as I could, and then there came a point when I either lost consciousness or I was put into that position, but I didn't. That would have been the final thing I remember is my blood-soaked clothing falling to the floor in the hospital, and that would have been my final image, because I did not anticipate waking up, if you can understand. I didn't expect to live, but fortunately, some time after that, I woke up with my wife and my temporary chief constable were lying side by side on each side of me, assuring me that I was obviously still alive.
Well, joining us now is a friend and colleague of PC Rathband, who's just visited him in hospital. PC Rathband, though, was too ill to talk to him. Russ Watson is chairman of the Northumbria Police Federation and also a former firearms officer. He joins us now live from Newcastle Royal Victoria Infirmary. I know that you were able to listen to some of that interview as we just played it out just now. It's an extraordinary account of a horrific ordeal from a man who's just found out that he's lost the sight in both eyes. From your knowledge of him, is that the man that you know? Are you surprised by his reaction?
I'm actually very humbled by the focused way that Dave has actually relived that horrific event. But it's testament of the professionalism that he's shown throughout the time that I've known him. And it was only for a very brief period when we worked together. But he is a very focused individual, caring individual, quite happy to challenge inappropriate behaviour from any member of the community and his colleagues. But I found that very humbling, and it's testament to what a brave individual he actually is.
And is it sobering as a former firearms officer to hear an account like that of a man who's stared down the barrel of the gun and then seen that gun go off?
I can't begin to imagine how he felt at that particular time. Having experience of firearms, you don't want to be on the wrong side of a firearm. Nobody knew what was contained within that shotgun round. Fortunately, if you can say it that way, it was birdshot. It could have been a heavier round such as AAA or SG, which would have had devastating consequences. And that's why shotguns should never be underestimated in any walk of life.
How is he doing? I understand that you did try to visit him in the last hour or so. How is he?
As you would expect, he's still recovering from these horrific injuries. I think his spirits at the moment are quite buoyant. I didn't have the opportunity of speaking to him because he was very tired. You'd expect that from the horrific injuries that he's received. I've heard Dave's response. I don't know whether you've actually seen any pictures of Dave, but you know, he's got a long road to recovery. Federation are going to be here to support him. We're going to link in with agencies such as the Police Dependents Trust, who will offer him support in the long term. The force have said that he has a future within the police force of Northumbria, so we'll hold them to the fact that as long as he wants to be a serving officer, the force will make the reasonable adjustments so that he can continue with his policing career.
He's been extraordinary in his attitude towards Raoul Moat, hasn't he? I know that he made some statement in the last couple of days saying he bore no malice towards Raoul Moat. He's also talked about this being a life-changing but not a life-wrecking experience, and yet he's also very tough on those who view Raoul Moat as a hero. I think he's referring, of course, to the floral tributes he's clearly been told about at the spot where Raoul Moat died. How do the police feel about those tributes to this gunman?
Well, that's Dave's testament to how he is. He's professional throughout all of this. And when you look at the word hero and legend, what does that actually mean? These people obviously don't know what that means. That means our service men and women serving abroad in Afghanistan. It means public-spirited people in the public sector who actually put their lives on the line every day when they go out to work. It means members of the community who actually put their lives at risk going into rivers to save life. It doesn't mean the way that they portrayed Raoul Moat. That is not a hero, that is a coward who actually died when he had the opportunity to actually give himself up 7 days prior to the 6 hours that he had that standoff. So if I've said anything inappropriate, that's just the way that I feel at the moment, and I think when Dave comes to reflect, he will have some similar feelings to myself.
Russ Watson, we really appreciate your time. Thanks very much indeed for sharing your views with us here on Sky News. A little bit of breaking news just coming into us now. The appointment of General Sir David Richards as the new Chief of Defence Staff has been confirmed, approved